Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. And it's such a humbling privilege to get to serve as the 44th Attorney General in the history of the state of Missouri. And like you said, my predecessors leave behind a legacy of excellence. All I have to do is carry that on and keep finding ways to get better. And there are opportunities to do that. But for my background, there's really four things I want people to know about me. Number one, I'm a combat veteran. I served in the United States military as an officer in a combat arms branch of service that I volunteered for after 9/11. And I took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And that's a commitment I will never abandon and I carry with me here at the Attorney General's office. So I defended the Constitution on the battlefield in the war on terror, and now in the courtroom on behalf of the people of the state of Missouri. I make Missouri the safest state in the nation for children. And I think that's something we can, that's an achievable goal for us. We've got to get a handle on violent crime in this state and in this region and in the city of St. Louis. And the way you do that is empowering law enforcement officers to arrest criminals who are breaking things and hurting people, and then prosecutors have to hold those criminals accountable. We have room in the Department of Corrections for bad offenders, for violent actors, for people who want to break things and hurt people. And I'm always going to stand up and defend, never defund police, enforce the rule of law, support our prosecutors, and make sure we're holding people accountable so we can have safer streets that lead to prosperous communities. If the drag show's not harmful, why would it matter if they knew about it or not? So his responsive letter was internally inconsistent, but it's also more frightening that because it evinces this notion that they're more concerned about woke left-wing indoctrination than education. They think it's okay to take your kids to a drag show. Nothing wrong with that. And especially if they want to get into this argument over, well, it's a G-rated versus an X-rated drag show and which article of clothing were or were not being worn and were taken off during the show. And that misses the entire point. Mm-hmm. For me, it's about protecting children and making Missouri the safest state in the nation for children, and our school system being about education, not indoctrination, and parents having a voice in the process. And it misses the point that a drag show is an inherently sexual production. Yep. The drag show itself is an outward expression of a desired inward sexuality, and it emphasizes sexual characteristics that appeal to the prurient interest. We have statutes on the books in Missouri where the General Assembly has put guardrails on how human sexuality is and is not to be taught in schools. And it doesn't authorize drag shows, but it requires parental notification. So we have a system failure from Columbia Public Schools in this instance. And so I called on the termination or resignation of any school official who knew or should have known about the presence of the drag show as part of the event.